Welcome back to Grade 11 English Language Arts, Term 1. This is Session 2, Textual Evidence, Inference, and Ambiguity. Today you will learn to separate explicit meaning from inference and preserve uncertainty when a text supports more than one reasonable reading. This is a professional reading and writing habit, not a vocabulary exercise. Begin with this diagnostic question. What is the difference between a fact printed in a text and a conclusion that the text merely supports? Hold your answer for a moment. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to answer with a method, a worked example, and language precise enough for an academic response. Keep a notebook nearby. Pause when you need to test a claim before the model appears. Build the skill through 4 connected moves. First, explicit meaning is directly stated and can be located in precise words or sentences. Second, an inference combines a textual detail with a logical bridge. It is supported, not invented. Third, strong and thorough evidence uses the smallest quotation that proves the point, plus relevant context. Finally, ambiguity is deliberate openness. A careful reader explains competing possibilities instead of forcing certainty. Do not memorize these as isolated labels. Treat them as a sequence of decisions. The quality of the final response depends on whether each decision is visible, what you noticed, how you classified it, what relationship you inferred, and how carefully you limited the conclusion. When a question feels difficult, return to the earliest missing decision instead of guessing at the end. Let us model the skill with the unopened letter. Nora found the envelope beneath the blue bowl. Her name was written in her father's careful block letters, although he had been gone for 3 winters. She carried it to the window, held it against the light, then returned it to the bowl, unopened. That evening, she moved the bowl to the highest shelf, read the example once for its literal situation, then read it again for the choices that make the task possible. Resist the urge to announce a broad theme or verdict. A useful first note names an exact word, structural move, contrast, fact, or omission. The next step is to connect that note to the question this session is designed to answer. Now, follow the reasoning rather than jumping to the conclusion. First, the explicit facts are that the handwriting resembles her father's. Nora does not open the letter, and she moves it out of reach. Second, a reasonable inference is that the letter creates emotional pressure, because she studies it closely, yet avoids its contents. Third, the text does not establish who placed the letter there, when it was written, or whether the handwriting is authentic. Finally, the strongest claim therefore names avoidance and unresolved feeling while keeping the letter's origin uncertain. Notice that each step adds a different kind of value. Observation protects accuracy. Classification gives the detail a role. Reasoning explains the connection. Qualification keeps the claim proportional to the evidence. If any link disappears, the response becomes either summary, unsupported opinion, or a list of features with no meaningful effect. Before independent practice, revise the 3 most common traps. Trap 1. Do not turn possibility into fact by declaring that the father secretly survived. The stronger move is to make the smallest claim that fully fits the evidence. Trap 2. Do not quote the entire passage when 3 or 4 precise words will do. Replace the shortcut with an explanation of the relationship. Trap 3. Do not treat ambiguity as confusion. Explain exactly which evidence keeps 2 readings alive. Preserve precision by naming what remains limited, conditional, or unresolved. Revision is not decoration added after thinking. It is where the reasoning becomes visible enough for another reader to test. Your turn. Write 1 explicit observation, 1 inference, and 1 unresolved question about Nora's decision to move the bowl. Pause the video and produce the response before listening further. Check that you have made a complete claim, used the most relevant evidence available, and explained the connection rather than expecting the evidence to speak for itself. Here is a strong model, not the only possible answer. Nora's decision suggests deliberate avoidance because she returns the envelope unopened and places the bowl on the highest shelf. However, the letter's origin remains unknown. Compare the logic of your response with the model. Keep any alternative interpretation that is equally precise and equally well supported. Revise one sentence now so its reasoning becomes easier to follow. Close Session 2 with this repeatable habit. First, state the fact. Second, build the logical bridge. Third, cite precise evidence. Finally, preserve honest uncertainty. Use the exit ticket in the course to demonstrate the sequence without notes. Save the response in your Term 1 notebook, because later sessions will ask you to reuse this skill inside longer arguments, research, discussion, and revision. Professional English work is cumulative. Careful reading produces better evidence. Better evidence produces clearer reasoning, and clearer reasoning makes revision purposeful. Complete the bridge to exam practice, then continue to the next session.